I now call on George Adam to be followed by Malcolm Chisholm, a generous 6 minutes.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I too welcome this debate, and I thank the Equal Opportunities Committee for the work that they've done in this matter. Like Richard Lyle, my own experience with homeless or young people becoming homeless was during my time as a councillor. Unlike Richard Lyle, it wasn't for the length of time and the experience that Mr Lyle had in the matter. But during that, I'm not calling you old, Mr Lyle, at that stage, but during that period, I actually had young people coming to my surgeries and explaining the reasons why they were possibly getting some problems from other tenants in the area. You know, you'd also get the tenants coming to you as well, other tenants complaining about the young people playing antisocial behaviour and playing music at all hours, and obviously you'd have the problems of young people possibly having rent arrears. And the young tenants would come, and when you spoke to them, you would actually find out that the story was a lot more complicated than just a young person sitting there playing music loudly, just a young person who decided they weren't going to pay their rent. That wasn't what happened. That wasn't what caused the situation. And as Linda Fabiani has already said, you know, they're not bad people. It's just, I'm paraphrasing Linda Fabiani will say this, they've just had bad luck in life, and they need the support that we can offer them to actually help them to move on. And the evidence from the committee report has already been mentioned by Mary Fee, the chair, the Yvette Hutchison's account, and some of the things she says Yvette said were quite interesting, in so much that, you know, she said if there is a family breakdown, especially if it's caused by addiction or mental health issues, the young person cannot really speak to anyone about it. So they take it on their shoulders, and a bad situation just becomes worse until they end up in the system. Some people might have moved out and managed to get their own tenancy and a flat, but they do not have the knowledge to keep it. Now, I think in that small paragraph alone, that probably articulates the problems and the issues that we are dealing with when we talk about this issue. Because for too long we've had a situation where social landlords have given vulnerable young adults the set of keys and flung the keys at them and said, there you go, there's the key to your new tenancy, you're now a tenant in the house, away you go. And then wonder why 2 or 3 years later we have problems that I've already mentioned, like antisocial behaviour, and also some problems with the likes of rent arrears. Linda Fabiani was quite right, and I think this sums up as well as the young man from Motherwell who says, you know, they gave me a house, but they didn't show me how to work it. Now, that to me just sums up the whole situation for many of the cases that I had to deal with over the years. And normally the tenancies that they're offered from the social landlords are normally in areas that nobody else really wants. It's in areas of where the local authority or the social landlord can't get rid of the stock as it is with other people. So it becomes a never-ending circle, an ongoing problem where they're trying to do the best by themselves, but at the same time they're having the issues with trying to deal with the council to get repairs done, to get the job. And these are all things that are brand new. I have to say, when I was 16 and 17, if you'd done that to me, and I like to believe I had a reasonably steady childhood, I would have had difficulties dealing with that kind of situation and an ongoing matter as well. And then you have the situation that was brought up before, where people end up going to the private sector and private rents, and that makes it even more difficult, because you end up with unscrupulous landlords who possibly don't give them the support they're needed, and just the rents are phenomenal. So we definitely need support, is definitely needed. And I would say I'm aware in Paisley that Renfrewshire Council and the Local Housing Association are building supported accommodation in the south end of the town, and this has received funding from the Scottish Government and is welcomed, because it shows that we can actually make sure that we support these young people within that housing as well. Not just a case of throwing some keys at a young person and saying, that's you, you've got your own house now, you can move forward. So one of the things we have to look at as well is education, and to ensure that young people do, and not just young people that come from difficult backgrounds, but all young people understand what it's like to actually have financial responsibility. I've got a 19-year-old daughter, and I don't think financial responsibility is one of the things that comes to mind when I think about her. I can remember that I probably will get a phone call on Friday, Presiding Officer, because she's worked out when payday is. So that kind of shows you how she has been able to deal with situations as well. So I think it's, when you look at Education Scotland, has provided a range of financial education teaching support material. that the Minister outlined during our answer to the committee, it just shows you that we have to take this seriously and we have to make sure that we get that there. There has also been talk of the Children and Young People's Bill. You know, the Scottish Government is looking to strengthen the legislation around through care and aftercare to ensure that this vulnerable group are prepared and supported from the transition. Because, as I've already said, it's not just whether you're actually someone that's coming from a more challenging background. It's anyone of that age that's having to deal with the responsibilities of life can be difficult. Of course, as Linda Fabiani and others have said, welfare reform will of course have a massive effect on this situation as well. There are 165,000 one-bedroom properties in social rented sector in Scotland, and only 20,000 will be available in the next year. Alex Johnson says possibly, we should look at the stock for suitable to demand, but that's not the issue, because for years on year, councils have actually made sure that people have been wanting 2 to 3 bedroom houses, and they've actually made sure that they get that. So to go, in fact, I remember my time in Renfrewshire Council, we actually get rid of some 1 bedroom houses because that's not what the sector wanted, because they wanted 2 to 3 bedroom houses. So we have the situation of Westminster's welfare cuts showing its way again. And once again, we have the tale of two governments, one that's wanting to actually do something for the people they represent and one that doesn't. Presiding Officer, as I've already said, we need to ensure we support these young people so that they can thrive within their new home and are no longer an ever-changing statistic, just moving from one set of stats to another set of stats, whether it be from, a looked-after young person going into their own house and then ending up being someone that's possibly going to end up being thrown out of their home. We have to make sure that we deal with this situation in a situation like the report has already set out. And I think it's important that one thing we do take from this debate today is that we all agree, as Richard Lyle says, we all take the responsibility to do all we can do for the young people in Scotland and give them the opportunity, because a roof over your head is one of the most fundamental, important things in your life, and I think it's something that we should all strive to ensure that we can support these young people.
Many thanks.